most Pakistanis, most of the international community view this imprisonment as just a complete political witch hunt. And it seems as part of a broader, history of military control by the Pakistani military, or political control by the Pakistani military. That's essentially dominated the country's politics for decades now. I want to start with a tweet by your mother, Jemima. In the last few weeks, there have been serious and concerning developments regarding my son's father, Imran Khan's treatment in prison. The Pakistani authorities have stopped all visits to him by his family and his lawyers. They have also postponed all court hearings. In addition to cutting off in-person visits, and in defiance of a court order, his weekly calls to his sons, Sulaiman and Qasim Khan, you guys, who are British and who live in London, were stopped on the 10th of September. We've received reports that the authorities have now turned off the lights and electricity in Imran Khan's cell, and he's no longer allowed to leave his cell at any time. The jail cook has even been sent on leave. He's now completely isolated, in solitary confinement, literally in the dark, with no contact with the outside world. His lawyers are concerned about his safety and well-being. So that was your mum a few months ago, October last year. Guys, again, pleasure to have you on the show. And my first question is this an accurate description by your mother?
Yeah, I mean, completely. We've known for a while that he's gone through periods of having no light in his cell. He's been in there for nearly 2 years, and there have been periods of, no access to the outside world, no access to doctors. We're well aware of the situation, and he's been in, prolonged solitary confinement. So, if only we were able to speak to him more. The court mandates that we speak to him once every week. We speak to him once every 2 or 3 months, if that.
I think when that tweet was put out, was actually after large protests in Pakistan about the elections and about just general suppression of democracy in Pakistan. And as a punishment, I think they really ramped up those punishments, no light in the cell, no visitors.
हाय फ्रेंड, वेलकम टू डेली ब्लॉग उभरता भारत चैनल। मैं हूं आपकी होस्ट रूबी ठाकुर। दोस्तों, आप मेरे चैनल को लाइक कीजिए, सब्सक्राइब कीजिए, बेल आइकॉन दबाइए, जिससे कि इंटरेस्टिंग टॉपिक पर मैं वीडियो लेके आते रहूँगी। और आपके लाइक सब्सक्राइब करने से मेरा चैनल ग्रो होगा। आपके सपोर्ट से ही मेरा चैनल ग्रो हो सकता है। तो दोस्तों, आप लाइक सब्सक्राइब जरूर करें और अपने दोस्तों से शेयर करें और बेल आइकन भी दबाएं। तो आज जो टॉपिक मैं लेके आई हूँ दोस्तों, वो है इमरान खान को जेल की सजा इतनी 14 साल के लिए क्यों हुई, और उसके सजा को और भी कन्वर्ट करने का कोशिश कर रहा है पाकिस्तानी गवर्नमेंट, पाकिस्तानी मिलिट्री। सो वो तो एक सीधा साधा सा क्रिकेटर था, उसको पता नहीं किस राजनीति में आने के बाद पीएम बना। अब जो उसका जो ये हालत किया जा रहा है, जो कि हिस्ट्री रहा है पाकिस्तान का, कि कभी भी जो जैसे भुट्टो है या और भी है, तो किसी के साथ वहां पर सही से न्याय नहीं मिल पा रहा है। जो भी वहां पर बैठा है, चाहे बेनजीर भुट्टो के साथ क्या हुआ वो आप लोग दोस्तों जानते ही हैं। उसके पिताजी जो है जुल्फिकार अली भुट्टो को आप जानते हैं। अभी देखिए अब इमरान खान का क्या होने वाला है, ये भी बड़ा मीडिया में वायरल न्यूज आ रहा है। अभी मैं कुछ बोल नहीं सकती हूँ, लेकिन अच्छा न्यूज नहीं आ रहा है। एक समय पाकिस्तान के हीरो, जो पाकिस्तान को प्राउड फील कराता था क्रिकेट में, क्रिकेट के मैदान से लेकर प्रधानमंत्री की कुर्सी तक का सफर करने वाला इमरान खान, तहरीके इंसाफ उसका पार्टी है, आज जेल में है। आखिर क्या हुआ? क्या सच है उन्होंने घोटाला किया था, या यह सब राजनीति साजिश है? राजनीति बदले की कहानी है। उनका बेटा क्या कह रहा है अपने पिता की गिरफ्तारी पे? जानिए इमरान खान की गिरफ्तारी की पूरी सच्चाई इस वीडियो में इमरान खान पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री, 1992 में क्रिकेट वर्ल्ड कप जीतने वाला कप्तान, पाकिस्तान तहरीक ए इंसाफ पीटीआई पार्टी के नेता, 2023 से 25 कई केसों में दोषी करार, अल कादिर ट्रस्ट केस में 14 साल की सजा। सरकार का आरोप है उन्होंने प्रधानमंत्री रहते हुए विदेशी तोहफे को बेचकर पैसा कमाया। पत्नी बुशरा बीबी को भी 7 साल की सजा मिली। इमरान खान और उनकी पार्टी का कहना है कि यह सब राजनीति साजिश है दबाने के लिए, क्योंकि साफ सुथरा छवि वाला इमरान खान था, तो उसको दागदार कैसे बनाना है, तो ये सब साजिश के तहत किया जा रहा है। मीडिया में दाऊद इब्राहिम जैसे नाम से भी जुड़े, लेकिन कुछ साबित नहीं हुआ। कोर्ट में कुछ मामले में गलत दस्तावेज छुपाने का दोषी भी ठहराया गया। तो अभी बेटे का रिएक्शन, इमरान खान के बेटे ने वीडियो में क्या कहा, उसके पिता को गलत फंसाया गया है। उन्होंने इंटरनेशनल मीडिया और लोगों से अपील की है कि उनके पिता को इंसाफ मिले। पीटीआई पार्टी का हालत कमजोर है। इमरान खान की पब्लिक सपोर्ट अब भी जबरदस्त है। पाकिस्तान की राजनीति उथल पुथल जारी है। मरियम नवाज शरीफ का भाई सब अपने दामन बचाने में लगा है। उधर इसी आनन फानन में भारत में भी आतंकवादी घुसपैठ कराकर मासूम 28 को जान से हाथ धोना पड़ा पहलगांव वैसरीन वैली में। तो इन लोगों का नियत ना खुद अंदर का अच्छा है, न ये लोग बाहर अच्छा है। तो दोस्तों, अभी मैं आपको उनके बेटे का क्या व्यू है उसका भी वीडियो इसमें लगाऊंगी, तो उससे आप जानिएगा कि इमरान खान को जो 14 साल की सजा हुई, क्या इमरान खान को फंसाया गया है, साजिश उसके खिलाफ हो रही है क्या और भी जैसे भुट्टो को या और किसी को फांसी तक पहुंचाया था, क्या इमरान खान को भी हो सकता है क्या? क्योंकि उनका बेटा है, बहुत डरा हुआ है और इंटरनेशनल मीडिया, इंटरनेशनल दूसरे कंट्री से और दूसरे कंट्री से अपील कर रहा है कि उसके फादर को बचाया जाए। तो उसका मैं लगाती हूं। तब तक दोस्तों,
Can you tell me more about that cell and his conditions, and maybe also give us an idea of the last time you've spoken to your father?
What we know is that he has no access to other prisoners. He is, alone in there. He's occasionally in the pitch black for prolonged periods. There was one period where he was in there for 10 days in the pitch black, no electricity, no nothing. And I remember when I spoke to him about that, he said the first 2 days were beyond difficult, and then he was able to get into a kind of Zen-like mentality, and what ended up being 10 days, he said it could have been a year. So yeah, the situation in his cell is pretty bleak.
He is, one thing I know about your father, he is a very resilient man. You kind of touched on how he's coping with this. Can you give us an idea of how was it in the early stages when you have those calls with him, and how is it today? Is he still as strong? Is he struggling? I can't even imagine being in the dark for 10 days.
So he's definitely, that's a very accurate description. He's definitely, resilient. He's probably I would say, I'm obviously biased, but he is definitely the most resilient person that I know by a distance. Very, very mentally tough. And whenever we speak to him, he's as strong as ever. But he's not the type of person to complain about the conditions that he's in. Whenever we will always ask how he is, but he'll always sort of brush off those sorts of questions. He's more interested in hearing how we are.
I know he's dealt with it in a way that, is what I think is the right way of dealing with it, is he just reads loads and loads of different parts of historical literature, religious literature, and then he does exercise. And it's his two things that he's always loved in life. So I think in a cell, it suits him in a way to just be able to focus on those two things. And every time we call, we only get to speak to him for about 20 minutes. And around that time, randomly, the line will cut off. So he's so focused on ensuring that he's able to spend the first 10 minutes imparting wisdom of whatever he's learned, whatever religious or life lessons he can impart on us. And then the last 10 minutes, he's very focused on finding out how we are, what's our situation, how's our family, and things like that. So we don't actually get very much time to ask about how he's coping, but I know he's doing a lot of reading, that's for sure.
So your last call, did you say how long ago was your last call?
2 weeks ago, probably. Yeah, probably the first call we've had with him for about 2 months. But yeah, we were lucky enough to speak to him like 2 weeks ago.
And how does that work? So do you know in advance you're going to speak? So for example, today, do you know when you're going to speak to